Let me ask you something. Imagine you're watching the World Cup. The game is tight, the stakes are sky high, every single touch matters. That's the World Cup you grew up watching. Now imagine watching a game where one team has zero chance of winning. The crowd is half empty. The players look tired. The scoreline is 6-0 by halftime. And you already know who's going through. That is exactly what critics are afraid the 2026 World Cup is going to look like. Because this year, for the very first time in history, 48 teams are playing at the World Cup. Not 32, not 40, 48. That's 16 more teams than we've ever seen before. That's 104 matches. That's a tournament that lasts 39 full days, and that has people on both sides going absolutely crazy. Some people think this is the greatest thing FIFA has ever done. Others think it is the worst decision in football history. So today, we are going to break down everything. The facts, the numbers, the arguments, the drama behind the scenes. And by the end of this video, I want you to drop your verdict in the comments. Best decision or biggest mistake? Let's go. First, let's understand how this actually happened. For 28 years, from 1998 all the way to 2022, the World Cup had exactly 32 teams, 8 groups, 64 matches, a format that almost everyone agreed was close to perfect. Then in 2017, a man named Gianni Infantino became FIFA president, and one of his biggest promises was simple. I will make the World Cup bigger. I will make it more inclusive. I will give more countries a chance to play on the biggest stage in football. And in January 2017, FIFA made it official. The 2026 World Cup would have 48 teams. Now here's the thing. FIFA didn't just do this out of the kindness of their hearts. Let's be real. More teams means more matches. More matches means more TV deals. More TV deals means more money. FIFA was already making around $5.5 billion from the 2018 World Cup. They predicted the 48-team format would bring in roughly $1 billion more on top of that. And for 2026, they are distributing a record $871 million in prize money to the participating teams. The 2026 World Cup is projected to bring FIFA close to $14 billion over the 2027 to 2030 cycle. So yes, money was absolutely part of this conversation. But that doesn't mean it's the only story here. Before we get into the debate, let me quickly explain what this 48-team format actually looks like, because it's genuinely different from anything we've seen before. Instead of 8 groups of 4, we now have 12 groups of 4. Every team still plays 3 group stage matches. The top 2 teams from each group automatically advance to the knockout rounds. But here's the new twist. The best 8 third-place finishers from across all 12 groups also advance. That means 32 teams go through to a brand new round of 32. Something we've never had at a World Cup before. From there it goes to the round of 16, then quarterfinals, semifinals, and the final. Total matches, 104. Compare that to just 64 in Qatar 2022. That's 40 extra games. The tournament now runs for 39 days instead of 32, and the matches are spread across 16 cities in 3 different countries: the United States, Mexico, and Canada. The USA is hosting the most matches, with 11 American cities involved, including Los Angeles, New York, Dallas, Miami, and more. This is, without question, the biggest sporting event ever organized in the history of the planet. Okay, let's hear the argument for this expansion. And honestly, it's a pretty strong one. Football likes to call itself the beautiful game. It calls itself the world's sport. But for decades, the World Cup was basically a South American and European competition. Every single one of the 22 World Cups ever played has been won by a team from either South America or Europe. Brazil, Germany, Italy, Argentina, France, Uruguay, Spain, England. That's it. Meanwhile, the entire continent of Africa, with over 1.4 billion people, was getting just 5 spots at the World Cup. Asia, home to 4.5 billion people, was getting just 4 or 5 spots. The Middle East, Central America, the Pacific Islands, barely a look in. With 48 teams, Africa now gets 9 spots. Asia gets 8. CONCACAF, which covers North America, Central America, and the Caribbean, now has 6 spots outside of the 3 host nations. Even Oceania has a guaranteed place. Countries like Uzbekistan, Cape Verde, Curacao, and Jordan are playing in their first ever World Cup in 2026. Haiti is back on the biggest stage. DR Congo is returning after 52 years away. These are real people, real fans, real nations, finally getting a chance to feel what a World Cup is. Think about what a World Cup means to a small country. When a nation qualifies, everything stops. People pour into the streets, schools close, airports are packed. It becomes a national identity moment that a generation remembers forever. FIFA is giving that gift to 16 more countries than ever before. And the financial argument is real too. Every team that qualifies gets at least $10 million in prize money, just for showing up. For smaller football nations, that kind of money can build academies, pay coaches, and develop the next generation of players. FIFA President Infantino himself said it best. The football fever in a country that qualifies for the World Cup is the biggest promotional tool for football you can have. Even Arsene Wenger, the legendary former Arsenal manager who now works in FIFA's football development, came out in support. He said 48 teams is the right number, pointing out that even with 48, only 25% of FIFA's 211 member nations actually qualify. 3 out of 4 countries still don't make it. It's not like the bar has become easy. Now, let's hear the other side. And this is where it gets uncomfortable. The biggest concern? Quality. FIFA's own research, yes, FIFA's own internal research, acknowledged before the expansion was approved that the absolute quality of the tournament would be best achieved at 32 teams. They ran 10,000 tournament simulations and came to that conclusion themselves, and then they expanded anyway. Look at the 2026 group stage draw. Opta Power Rankings, which measure the actual strength of international teams on a scale of 0 to 100, rated Haiti as the 92nd best team at the tournament. Curaçao came in at 131st in the world. These are teams that, many experts argue, would not have qualified under the old format. And the mismatches are already obvious. Iran, one of Asia's best sides, is facing New Zealand, the lowest ranked team in the entire tournament. Some groups have enormous quality gaps between the top team and the bottom team. Critics aren't saying these smaller nations don't deserve a chance. They're asking a harder question. Is watching a heavy mismatch in the first round exciting for anyone? And what does it do to the tournament's prestige? There's also a major structural concern. Under this format, a team could draw all 3 of their group games, 3 draws, and still qualify for the round of 32 as one of the best third-place finishers. That means teams might play defensively, protect a point, and game the system. The high-stakes pressure that made every group game in the old format feel like life or death? That's gone. One football journalist summed it up really well. The tournament risks a turgid fortnight of drab games and dead rubber matches. And then there's the problem FIFA originally didn't think through: collusion. With their first planned format of 16 groups of 3 teams, if 2 teams in the same group both needed just a draw in their final game to advance, they could literally play out a friendly and eliminate the third team. FIFA recognized this risk and scrapped that format. Their solution? Groups of 4, which solves the collusion problem but pushes the total matches from 80 to 104. One problem fixed, another created. Here's the part of this story that I think gets overlooked the most, and it might actually be the most important. The players. FIFPro is the global union that represents over 66,000 professional football players around the world, and they are not happy. In fact, they went as far as taking legal action against FIFA over player welfare concerns. Here's the reality of a modern footballer's life: club season, international breaks, Champions League, domestic cups, national team qualifiers, and now an expanded Club World Cup in the summer that FIFA also created, then a 104-match World Cup, then back to pre-season with their clubs almost immediately. Bruno Fernandes made 70 appearances for club and country in a single season. Rodri played in 10 different competitions in 1 year. 10. A FIFPro consultant called it, and I want you to listen to this quote, the perfect storm of how not to treat a human. He said players are playing a massive number of games, followed by fewer rest days than recommended, followed by a massive number of games again. The cycle keeps repeating. This leads to injury at worst and reduced performance at best. FIFA did respond to some of this pressure. In July 2025, they announced mandatory minimum rest rules, at least 72 hours between matches, and at least 21 days off at the end of each season. But here's the kicker. FIFPro, the actual player union, was not invited to the meeting where these rules were decided. FIFA held that meeting without them. And those who were invited included officials from organizations that had been expelled from FIFPro for corruption. FIFPro called it out immediately. FIFA fired back, saying FIFPro was being theatrical and prioritizing their image over helping players. Both sides publicly attacked each other. Meanwhile, the players themselves are the ones dealing with packed schedules, tired bodies, and careers potentially being shortened. And there's another issue nobody talks about enough: the heat. Several 2026 World Cup venues are in parts of the United States where June and July temperatures regularly hit brutal highs. Stadiums in Dallas, Houston, Los Angeles, and Miami will host matches during summer heat that could genuinely endanger athletes. Doctors and scientists have raised serious alarms about player health in these conditions. This is not a small concern. And it's not just players and fans who are frustrated. The biggest clubs and leagues in the world are furious. La Liga, Spain's top football league and one of the most powerful in the world, actually studied taking legal action against FIFA over the 48-team expansion. Their president said Europe's most powerful leagues had not been consulted. They claimed the decision was made entirely based on Infantino needing to fulfill election promises, with no regard for the impact on clubs who pay these players wages and bear the cost when they return injured. European clubs already lose their players for international duty for weeks at a time. With a longer World Cup, 39 days instead of 32, and more teams involved, the economic and logistical impact on clubs is significant. And the new domestic seasons in Europe start just about a month after the 2026 World Cup final. That means top players coming back from 104 games of football with barely any recovery time before their clubs need them again. So here's where we land. The truth is, both sides have real points. This is not a simple yes or no story. FIFA expanded the World Cup because football genuinely needed to become more global. The sport belongs to the whole world, not just Europe and South America. Millions of fans in Africa, Asia, the Middle East, and the Pacific now have their moment. And that is genuinely beautiful. But it came with costs that FIFA may have underestimated, or didn't care enough about. Group stage quality could suffer. Players are being pushed to dangerous limits. The clubs that fund the entire sport were cut out of the conversation, and the original format had to be scrapped because it risked match fixing, which tells you this wasn't fully thought through from the start. The real question isn't whether 48 teams is a good idea in theory. It's whether FIFA handled it the right way, transparently fairly with the players at the center, or quietly, for money, and with powerful people making decisions behind closed doors. And that question doesn't have an easy answer. What I will say is this. The 2026 World Cup is happening. The teams are there. The matches are coming. And whatever you think about the format, you are going to be watching every single one. Because it's the World Cup, and nothing stops the World Cup. Now I genuinely want to know what you think. Drop your answer in the comments right now. Team 48. If you think this expansion is great for football and more countries deserve a chance. Or Team 32 if you think FIFA went too far and the old format was better. And if you think FIFA did this purely for money and the players are being ignored, hit the comments with "It's all about the money." Because honestly, let's see how many people agree. I read every comment. I reply to as many as I can. This debate is one I genuinely want to have with you. If you made it this far, thank you. For real. This is exactly the kind of video I love making. Not just highlights, not just predictions, but actually going deep into the stories that shape the game we love. If you got value from this, if you learned something, if your brain is buzzing right now, please hit that subscribe button. It costs you absolutely nothing, and it means everything to this channel. Every subscriber tells me you want more content like this, and I promise you, there is so much more coming as this World Cup unfolds. Hit subscribe, smash that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one.